Welcome to another episode of That's Some Crazy Shit with Kelly and James. I'm Kelly, and my co-host, as always, it hasn't changed, is Mr. James.
That's me, and I would be sad if you changed me.
To somebody else. My
Yeah,
co-host is anybody but Mr. James.
that would be sad, man. It wouldn't be
It wouldn't be
not
That's Some Crazy Shit
anymore.
Yeah, with Kelly and James. Yeah, very true, very true. James, we've had a lot of different guests on in our 8 seasons.
Yes,
and I love when we have people that come on and talk about aliens, because aliens is just one of those things that just, man. So today we're talking to Dr. Lisa Thompson.
And what is Dr. Lisa Thompson's tie to our crazy shit?
She is a best-selling author, she's a speaker, and more importantly, she is a Galactic Ambassador Channeler, Intuitive Transformational Coach. She can also do past parallel life regressions, sound healing, and she does retreats. She's got a thing with aliens. It's just all around crazy shit.
The retreat sounds bad with the UFOs and stuff.
So I think we should just get right to it because, wow.
Well, on that note, let's do it.
Right on. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to That's Some Crazy Shit. Dr. Lisa Thompson, Galactic Ambassador. Dr. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on That's Some Crazy Shit and being a part of the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk to you guys today.
I've been waiting for this since last time we spoke, and I still love your alien in the back.
Yes.
So let's just get right to it. You just got to tell our listeners like what you do. What your, I guess, crazy shit that you bring to the show, knowing that we're not calling you crazy or what you do crazy, but it is crazy in a sense that, it's something that you just don't talk about every day, right? You don't talk about, I don't talk about it every day. Maybe you do, but most people do not.
No, and it's actually been 35 years in the making for me to able to really come out with my story. And because so I am a Galactic Ambassador and a Channeler. And so what that means is, or how it all started, we'll start there. When I was 15, I had my first conscious memory of being taken in a spacecraft. And so for most people, that is some crazy shit.
That is crazy.
So the experience was actually quite a beautiful one. Some people have more of a scary experience just because they don't understand what is happening. So the situation was, I was living in Yelm, Washington, outside of Olympia. And we lived on 20 acres, and it was at nighttime, and I don't know how I got into the craft. I just remember being in the craft, and it was a smaller, what I call it a shuttlecraft, because it was just me and my alien guide. Now, he looked very human when he picked me up. And he also felt very familiar, like I knew him somehow. And so what I remember flying through space, the shuttlecraft, the walls looked completely transparent, where it's like you were floating out in the middle of space. So you could see everything. You could see the darkness, the stars. You could see all the different colors of the gases flying through space. So we finally land wherever we were going. And so when we got there, I asked him, where are we? And he said that we were inside of Io. Io is one of Jupiter's bigger moons. It's the least likely of places in the solar system where there might be life, because it's the most highly volcanic of any planetary body in the solar system. So you can't be on the surface, but you can be inside. So we get there and he starts giving me a tour. And what it looked like was some kind of hospital kind of situation where everyone looked very human. And I could see into different rooms and people being examined. And so my next question to him is, okay, everyone looks human. Are you human? And he said, no, we are humanoid, but we disguise ourselves because our form scares a lot of people because it's very extreme, you know, in terms of being very different. And so, so then my next question was, well, why am I here? Why are all these people here? And so this is back in 1988. What he said was that we were chosen to see if something happened to the earth, if we could be taken to an environment like that, or something similar to that. So they were testing out our physiology, our DNA. And what I later found out was that we had a very similar frequency to them. Everyone has their own signature frequency. And so our frequency matched theirs more closely. And so that's how we were chosen. So then at the end of the tour, I asked if I could see what he really looked like, because I was always a very curious kid and I was obsessed with animals. I liked the weirdest animals possible. So I didn't think that I would be scared, you know, if I saw what he really looked like. So the disguise was removed, and what he ended up looking like was, he was about 7 feet tall, pure white skin, like really chalky white, big dark eyes, and long red hair. So something, you know, really extreme. So and he had triads that looked like they were tattooed on his cheeks. And so if you saw that in a dream, or you saw someone that looked like that walking down the road towards you, you would probably go the other way. Right? So,
yes. That's pretty intimidating when you think about it.
Yeah. So, but again, like they were not there to hurt us. They were quite benevolent, actually. You know, they were there to really protect us in a way. And so I returned back home, and I remember lying in my bed, and I was like, okay, that is the weirdest dream I've ever had. And for months, I thought it was a dream. And so how I realized it wasn't a dream, though, was number one, dreams, we typically forget the details within 10 minutes of waking up. But then several months later, I was reading Whitley Strieber's book, Communion. Which is, have you read
that?
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's about his experiences of being taken by the gray aliens. Now, at the end of the book, he's interviewing different people that had been taken like him. And they all had a very similar story with the grays, but one guy had a totally different story. And Whitley was kind of making fun of him because it was so different. But what the guy was telling Whitley was that he had been taken to a moon of Jupiter and told he was one of the chosen ones. And so Whitley made a little side comment, I hope it isn't Io. And when I read that, I had head to toe chills and tears started coming down my face. So that was my body's way of telling me that that was a real experience.
Wow.
So then to add to the validation, though, it gets even better. So at the time, my mother and I were attending a school called the Ramtha School of Enlightenment, which was in Yelm. And so this was at the time in the 80s. The school is pretty high profile in terms of it being looked at maybe kind of as a cult. And we had a couple of famous actresses that were in the school, Linda Evans and Shirley MacLaine. And the stuff that we were learning, the government and the CIA were really interested in, and they actually had spies infiltrate the school. Now, some of those people actually became real students because they really appreciated the information being taught. But one of them, so I told my mother when I found out, like, okay, this was a real thing. So I told my mom, knowing she would believe me. And so she was like, well, I know someone to introduce you to. And so one of the members of our school had been very, very high up in the government and knew about the different alien races that our government works with or knows about. So she introduced me to him. I told him my story, and I thought he was gonna just think I was crazy or, you know, or that it was just a dream. But he listened, I described him, and he was like, I don't know that race. He said, but we don't know all of them. There are so many out there. So he said, you had a real experience. And so at the point of 16, and so really having that validated as a teenager was huge. And it planted the seed for the work that I do now as a true Galactic Ambassador.
So, wow. As a Galactic Ambassador, what is it that you do?
Okay, so there are some different things that I do with that. So 4.5 years or so ago, I was taking a psychic intuition class, and the very first night of the class, our teacher led us through a meditative journey to meet a spirit guide that would help us get extra information. Now, I am a certified past life regression therapist, and so I've met spirit guides and other things of that nature, but this time was totally different. So I was where I went was a completely different realm, where in front of me were the most beautiful blue entities, beings, and they just exuded pure love. So they were no hair, bigger heads, just a beautiful blue skin, really skinny bodies. And their message to me was, you are one of us, we are one of you, we are family. And so fast forward, now I understand my connection with that group. I didn't know who they were at the time. So after coming out of the journey, there was a gal in class. When I described him, she's like, that sounds like those were either the Blue Avians or the Arcturians. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. So I went Googled those. And when I saw the images of the Arcturians, it's exactly what I saw in this experience. And so I had no conscious, memory of being with them, but seeing their image, I'm like, okay, that is definitely what I was with. And so now I understand my relationship with them. So I am an Arcturian. I am one of them. And now I actually channel them. And so the work that I do is I'm here to share their messages of love and unity. And they're higher dimensional beings. And so really they want us Earth humans to understand that, the polarized reality of third dimensional Earth is really not what the true universe is like. We are all connected. We are all one. And love really is the universal principle of the universe in those higher realms. There is no more judgment. There is no more, fear or any of that. And so they channel through me messages. So I teach classes. I also lead UFO tours. I live on the big island of Hawaii. And so I do night sky watch UFO tours. So I teach people that come on the tours about what UFOs and ETs are from my perspective. And then I teach people how to identify the moving objects in the sky, and the craft show up every single time for me. We all.
So I would love to see a UFO. I would.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What was the alien race? Say it again for me that you said that you are?
Arcturian.
Arcturian. Okay, so if you're an Arcturian and we're all human, are we in fact only human because we're on Earth, or are we all something else? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Every person is multi-dimensional.
That's what I'm trying to say. So in fact, me and James we're only human because we're here.
Yes.
But actually we're something else.
There's so many more things. In fact, all timelines exist simultaneously at the quantum level. And so there is no past, there is no future. So even though, traditionally it's called past life regression, it's actually parallel life regression. And so you are able to tap into those other realities very easily because they're existing right now. And
in other places, not here on Earth, but other planets, other places, other solar systems.
Yes, and there are quite a few humans who have multiple Earth lives as well, in different time periods. But we on Earth, we are a very, very dense physical reality. We experience linear time because things are so slow here but that's not really, there is no time. And so really, when you raise your vibration up to the higher dimensions, to the higher densities, then that's when you lose time, essentially. Yeah.
We've talked to about half a dozen guests. It all say the same thing about frequencies and raising your frequencies. And so I always say there's no coincidences.
No. And so the way that I like to describe frequency or vibration and these different dimensions is with an example of a fan. So if you have, a fan and it's off, you can see each individual blade very clearly. It's very physical, very solid. You turn the fan on and it goes faster and faster and faster, and it starts becoming invisible. And so that is raising your vibration, raising your frequency. That's how you're shifting into these other realities. And so right now, there are other beings right here with us. We just can't see them visibly because they're in a different dimension. And so things like fairies and dragons and, extraterrestrials, higher dimensional extraterrestrials, all of those are real, and they just reside in different planes.
Can they see us?
Generally, yes, because the higher the frequency, you have the knowledge and the information from all of the lower frequencies.
Makes sense.
So is this something anyone can do to learn how to
Absolutely
raise their frequencies?
Yes.
And how would you go about doing that, Doctor?
Well, there's so many different ways to do it. So meditation is one way, because really to experience really higher dimensional realities, going within is how to do it. And so really becoming very present with being in the now, and even just the, really concentrating on that you are raising your frequency, but even putting yourself in a state of joy. Joy is one of the highest vibrations that we can experience as Earth humans. And when we are operating from joy, we are naturally vibrating higher, and we experience reality very differently than people who are in a lower vibration than that.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. So when you say like there's no time, I meditate like on a daily, probably sometimes twice a day. And I like just different types of meditations. But most of the time when I meditate, there's a time, and I don't know how much time that is, that I don't know what happened. Like, where am I? I don't remember. But just all of a sudden I'm back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, it totally does. And that is you basically astrally leaving this physical presence and the ego self of Kelly, right? Because we are much more than just our personalities.
I just wish I could remember where I go.
Well, so maybe before you meditate, when you make an intention to be conscious of where you're going, then you're more likely to be able to remember that experience.
And then call me.
Okay, so you're saying that they're aliens. They're real. Aliens are real. Aliens are on Earth now.
Yes.
Aliens have been on Earth for a very long time.
Yes, actually, since before humans existed.
Right.
Here. Yeah.
And so now with all of the information that you hear with the government and aliens, and they even changed the name from UFO to what's the new thing?
UAPs.
Yeah.
Is the government, do you think in your experience, Lisa, that the government is going to come out and really recognize that these things do exist?
Well, they actually already have. In the middle of COVID, in 2020.
Yeah, we talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what month it was in 2020, but there was a little press release that they put out saying, yes, there is life that exists outside of Earth and it's real. And then the Navy back in 2017 released the videos that they had of craft, you know, the Tic Tac and
gimbal, go fast.
Exactly. So they're doing it. It's basically slow disclosure, but if you really pay attention, they have already admitted that it's real. And what's really interesting, though, is that there are other governments, other countries that have never hidden it from their people, like Mexico,
Argentina,
Peru,
France.
Yes, Israel. The Prime Minister of Israel, or one of the top guys in Israel, was like, "Yep, they're real." And so, you know, it started really in the 40s. This disinformation campaign. For whatever reason, they wanted to control it. There are different ideas about why. But really, so yes, the ETs, they've been visiting us throughout different time periods of Earth's history. And activity really picked up once we were in World War II and we had developed the atomic energy.
That makes sense, though, right?
Because they're like, and there are different ET groups that are interested in Earth and in us, because we have up to 22 different ET races in our DNA that have come at different times and genetically modified us, spliced in their DNA, upgraded our bodies. And I've got a story about that too, because I have a memory of being one of these ET races doing that. Like,
share, yeah, please share.
So one of the groups that came to Earth and really interacted directly with Earth humans was a group from Sirius, the Syrians. And they were really interacting with really ancient Egypt, with the Mayans and the Dogon tribe in Africa. So those were the key groups that they were working with. And so it was several months ago, I had a regression done on me. And so this whole life came forward where I was a Syrian and I was part of the upgrading of the human body, like genetically modifying the DNA. And it was done with a sound frequency vibration. And so we came in our craft. There were just a few of us in our craft that were part of that. And so from our ship, we would send down these sound frequencies, and what it would do, it would change the human DNA.
Wow.
And the point of that was to upgrade the body so it could hold more energy, because as we are developing as conscious beings, we are running more energy through us. The more enlightened we become, the more awakened we are. And so we need to be able to have more energy run through our body as we're shifting to fifth dimension. And so that was just part of that experiment. Now we also, at the same time, there were a different group of us Syrians, and I was not part of this, but I got to see what was going on. They were building the pyramids, and they were
I would love to have seen that.
They were using sound frequency to levitate the rocks.
I heard that. We've heard that before, haven't we,
we've talked about that.
We've talked about that.
And so, like, there's a certain sound, and with conscious thought that can levitate and move those giant stones into place. And so getting to see that in that memory, in that regression, was quite amazing. Now, the other interesting piece of that was that my group, who was working on this genetic modification, we also had a different planet and a different solar system that we were also doing the same thing with, but it was an experiment, because with Earth, there were people on the ground, or Syrians on the ground, actively teaching humans about medicine and agriculture, astronomy, things like that, where they were interacting directly with them. Now, this other planet that we were experimenting with, we were sending down that sound energy to upgrade the body, but we were not interacting with them. We were letting them organically evolve on their own. And what's really interesting in seeing the two groups, the experiments, was that interacting directly with the humans was not necessarily a good thing. They developed technology way beyond their spiritual maturity. And that's where we had things like Atlantis happen from that. And so this other group lived in beautiful harmony and community with each other, as opposed to, people having control and that polarized.
Like
So are we on
Avatar.
Like Avatar.
Yes, very similar.
Like Avatar, because they were connected to their planet
Yeah.
in a very spiritual way.
Yes.
They didn't need all the technology stuff.
Exactly.
Right?
And I have a friend I was talking to
See?
yesterday about Avatar, actually, because she has a life that she has full memory of, and it was almost identical to that Avatar movie.
Well,
wow.
they say that things like that, like Star Trek and other things, were channeled. Those
Yes.
are real things
They
that
are.
were channeled and that were written down and put together as TV shows.
Yes, absolutely. So there really is a galactic federation. There are actually quite a few different galactic federations, and they do have a prime directive, like in Star Trek, where they're not supposed to interfere directly with us anymore. So we have free will here on Earth, and if we want to interact, then it's up to us to ask. We invite them, and then they can interact with us and help us. Just like our angels. I've got a lot of friends that are angel people, and they're always saying to me and to everyone that they're teaching that the angels can't interfere directly unless you ask for their help, and then they're happy to help. So we just have to know to ask. And then Star Wars is based on real stuff that happened in the Orion constellation, the Orion Wars. So there really was like a dark empire. There was a group known as the Black League, which were the Jedi. And
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, all that stuff they say is like channeled and real. To us, it comes in the form of movies and comic books.
yes.
I have a real quick question for you, Doctor. Going back to Atlantis, you talked about it, and we all know how that was destroyed and stuff. Are we going down that same path again?
Well, there is a timeline, or some timelines, because all timelines exist simultaneously, where that is a potential. And so some of these ET groups that are coming are trying to stop that from happening, because they're our family and they don't want us to destroy ourselves again. And so when you probably have heard of UFOs being seen around nuclear power plants or nuclear weapon sites and shutting them down, actually.
Yeah.
And so one side, the government side might be like, well, we need to perceive that as a threat because they're trying to take over. But no, the other side of that, which is the side I take, is that no, they're trying to make sure we don't destroy ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, but there are timelines too where we are shifting into a higher consciousness. And so a lot of people call that the awakening or the shift to 5D. And and both are true. So it all depends on which track you want to be on, which timeline you want to be on. And so one of the things that my Arcturians are always sharing through me, to me and to my clients and whoever's in my classes and all the stuff I do, they are saying you get to choose your timeline. And so by doing that, you just need to put your focus, so your vision and your emotional energy, into the timeline that you want to be a part of. And that will naturally shift you into that timeline. So we can timeline jump. We just have to know how to do it. That it is real, that it's possible.
Do we
I
do
need
it?
to learn
Do we
because
do
I
it
don't want to be the one.
subconsciously? Yeah, but do we do it subconsciously? Can we timeline jump and not even know we've timeline jumped?
Oh, yes. And in fact, I know, looking back through my history of this Earth life, I have definitely done some timeline jumping without, being aware that it was going on. And so, and it could be really subtle, or it could be really huge, dramatic change. But the more that you stay conscious of what you actually want to be your reality, so it's like creating your reality. We can create our reality. We do create our reality. And so do we want to be conscious about it, or is it going to come from our, subconscious mind, which may not actually, it may have some patterns that lead us down a track that we don't want to go down.
So I got to ask you a question because it's going through my head, and maybe you will or will not know, but this is just something I just always want to know. So if we are in fact energy, yes, right, which we are, and energy doesn't die, it just turns into something else, right? So being that there's no death, that's a human concept. Death is a human concept. And so obviously if we've had all these past lives, we've obviously died many times before in a form and become something else, correct? Yes. Okay, correct. So I'm on the right path. So if that is the case, then when we do leave this world, do we get to decide what's next, or do we go into an alien form? Like, I guess I'm asking you, Dr. Lisa, like, what happens? Is it an alien thing when we die, or is it a religious thing when we die?
So what my understanding of what happens, and this is by years of doing regressions with clients and then reading all of Dolores Cannon's body of information about all of that, and other similar kind of regression therapists, QHHT practitioners, is that it kind of depends on, did we learn the lessons that we came in to experience in this life? And if we didn't, then we might need to come back again to try over. So we might automatically, like, the powers that be, some of councils is one of the terms of what they're known as, help us. We go through our life review, and in some cases, if we haven't completed it, then it's like almost an automatic karmic cycle that we need to keep playing out. But if we have cleared our karma, if we have learned the lessons for this specific life, then we do have opportunities to go to something different. And so it's going to be different for everyone.
So how do you know when your frequency is being raised, Doctor?
So, well, you can feel it in your body. It's like a lightness of being. And so if you can remember a time where you were just in such a high state of joy, where you felt uplifted, and then that's what it feels like when you're in that higher vibrational state. And so the idea is to try to be in that state as often as possible. And when we do that, we actually experience this earth reality in a much more beautiful way. So even if there is really bad stuff going on around us, that's not what we're experiencing. We are bringing in frequency specific people into our lives, higher dimensional beings. We have a greater understanding of energy and of what Earth life is about, but also that we are much more than that.
Good energy bubbles, what I call it, James.
Hey, yeah. Good energy is good. Yeah.
Good energy bubble is a good place to live.
It is. Well, and one question that I do get asked is, people coming on our UFO tours are coming from all different sectors of society, and so, most of them are believers, but we might have a spouse where one is really into it and the other's like, no, it's not real. But one of the questions I get is, well, are there bad ETs? Are there negative ETs? Mm-hmm. And so the way that I describe this kind of concept is that there are some ET races that are still third dimensional, fourth dimensional, like we are as Earth humans. when we are third and fourth dimensional, we are still experiencing that polarity of the good, the bad, the positive, the negative. There are other ET races that are in that higher vibration, fifth dimension and higher, who no longer have polarity. So if you think of Earth humans, so we have some people that are very kind, compassionate, loving, giving, service to others kind of people. And then we have the extreme of the opposite of that, right? That are takers and like want control and power and, take. So in a similar way, these ET groups that are still polarized, like we are, there are going to be some individuals within that race that are also like service to self, we call it, and some are service to others and have that loving heart. And so everyone, though, at some point will experience those higher dimensional realities where there is no more polarity.
Are there ETs living on Earth that are disguised as humans?
Yes, there are.
Are reptilians a real race of ETs?
Yeah, yes, actually, and there are a lot of different reptilian groups. So there's not just, it's not just one race. They come from different star systems. And in fact, the reptilians were actually the first ones here on Earth. Wow. Yeah, in the dinosaur times.
That makes sense. Kelly I kind of chuckled because that's Kelly's thing, the reptilians. That she's into the reptilians.
So Kelly, what do you know about the reptilians?
I just what I've read about them. I've always read that the reptilians were in royalty. So the reptilians were a part of the royal family, the royal bloodline, because they've been around forever.
Yeah.
Right. So I've also read that the reptilians have infiltrated high places in government because they've been around forever. That the queen was a reptilian. That's always my thing with James, that she was a
So, yeah, now is it true? Doctor, is it true?
I grew up with all of that kind of information as well, and I don't know for sure, but I do yes, there are definitely reptilians here on Earth. Some live in inner Earth and have already evolved to that fifth dimensional state and higher. Some are among us and are shapeshifter kind of type. Wow. But there are other groups that look just like we do. Very like they pass for human, but they come from other star systems. So the Umites, that's one such group. And they were here bringing some science and technology.
Elon Musk, maybe?
Kind of sounds the same.
I'm just saying, I always think, you could tell, is he an alien?
Yeah,
I think he is.
Yeah.
We can start going down the list now.
We do have a list, Lisa. Let's pull it out, James. But you know what? This is all stuff that we've heard, and it's just crazy to me. It's just so crazy that it's all true. You know what I mean? It's just stuff that we think is not. But I always told James, I always believe that they're preparing us through our movies. Because things that always were one-time science fiction are now no longer science fiction, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's how they prepare us for the technology. Because is it truly, so am I wrong? Don't we get a lot of our technology from alien races? And so
we do. We do. And so, whether they are directly giving us that information, which there are some groups that are doing that, but then we've also been able to reverse engineer spaceship crafts, ones that have crashed, like Roswell, as one example. There have been many crashes, and they have been able to use that and reverse engineer and come up with the technology that we have.
Now I have a question, Doctor. It seems like when something happens, like Roswell happened here, that they also have the equivalent happening in Russia. Is that to keep a balance?
That's a good question. I mean, Was there a crash in Russia at the exact same time?
Pretty close, same type of year. It was, I believe, at I can't say it, Penamundo, I believe is where the encounter was.
Okay, because I do know that there have been crashes, throughout all over.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that one thing that I recently heard about the Roswell crash was that it was actually there was some electrical thing that our military had put out that made that crash happen.
Oh, wow.
So, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that is some information that's out there about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
So if somebody was interested in reaching out to you and utilizing your services, what's the best way to reach you?
So probably the best way is through my website, which is drlisajthompson.com. You can also get there through mysticmanta.com. And then I also have bigislandUFOtours.com. So those are different ways. And then I am very active on Facebook as my primary social media outlet. And so I've got different pages. I've got Dr. Lisa Thompson business page, and some different groups that I run as well.
And what are some of the services that you offer real quick?
Yeah, thank you. So I have several books that I've written. So you can find out more about the stuff that we talked about with the ETs and the UFOs in my book, Connection to the Cosmos. And then I have some other books, but I do parallel life regression therapy. I help people meet their galactic family and guides. I also do human design as a service, sound healing. I lead the UFO tours. I teach a lot of classes online, and I actually lead retreats here in Hawaii. So I have a spiritual healing retreat that I do that's an intimate group of women. But then later this year in September, I'm actually having a galactic retreat here on island. That's 4 days.
Nice.
So, going to be helping people learn how to raise their vibration and learn how to directly connect themselves, and really hone skills like remote viewing and telepathy, enhancing all the clairs.
Oh, wow.
And then also, seeing the spacecraft with their own eyes.
I want to go so bad, Doctor.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It has been so much fun and learning and asking you all these questions, and I just love this type of stuff.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your questions and your curiosity and your open minds.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And and I think that if we had more questions, would you be open to coming back?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because we could ask questions all day.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
That was pretty interesting. And it's funny because I know what part you were most excited about. It was reptilians, and Kelly
You
was
knew
like,
I wanted her to tell me, was the queen really a reptilian?
She was
Do
hesitant.
you know? I wanted to know. Yes, you knew where I was going. You knew where I was going with the reptilian.
Oh, I know. I was like, oh, I know where we're going. That's cool. Her retreats do sound bad, though.
They do.
If you can go see UFOs and stuff in Hawaii, no less.
Yeah, so if you are interested in doing a retreat or learning more about Dr. Lisa Thompson and utilizing her services, you can get her at mysticmanta.com. And then she has another website too, Dr. Lisa Thompson. But the one I've been looking at is mysticmanta.com.
Cool lady. Very cool lady.
Very, very cool. So you want to do some random bullshit?
Well, I'm going to hit you up with one right now.
Let's do it.
You won't. Everyone knows, all our listeners know that you will not go on a ghost investigation, correct?
That is 100% correct.
Okay, now my question is, would you go see, like, go find UFOs? Like, go look for UFOs?
No. You know why I'm not going to go looking for UFOs? Because anybody, and I'm going to go back to my standby, which are what? Movies. Anybody who's ever gone looking for anything that they shouldn't be looking for usually find it and don't like what they find. So if I go looking for UFOs, what is it that I'm hoping that will happen? I'll just see one? Probably not. If I get taken, yeah, that's a whole nother deal right there. I'm good, James. No. You can tell me about it.
Think of how much we would talk about if you got taken and they let you come back.
Yeah.
Think how much content we would have.
And the key word there is if they let me come back.
I would like to go and go see UFOs in the sky and stuff. I don't want to get fucking abducted either. That's scary shit.
You just want to randomly see them in the sky and ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, when you out looking maybe by, what is it, Tonopah, Area 51, Sedona. They talked about that place in Sedona. You could see them. I'd like to see something like that. That would be bad.
So you're talking from afar. You're talking from afar with the infrared glasses and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm not crazy. I don't, just because we say we're crazy doesn't mean we're crazy.
I'm just checking.
Yeah, I would think it'd be cool to see it from a distance. But then again, it's all relative because you hear those people. It was way out there, and then before I know it, it was right on top of me, and I was gone.
Yeah, so I'm good. Yeah, you know what? I am your paranormal buddy in the fact that I'm right there with you, but I'm not trying to go experience the ghost or the UFOs. I'm good. I'm not looking for Bigfoot with you. I'm good.
Well, I look at it this way. I keep wearing you down. One of these days, it'll be, James, why don't we go look for Bigfoot?
Yeah, right. So never gonna happen. Just randomly.
Watch this. Okay, listeners.
Stay
tuned.
I'm sorry. I'm not going out in the woods looking for a creature that's supposed to be like 7 feet tall and like 500 pounds or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then do what when I find it? Do what?
Scream. Ah! And run away.
That just... What, get
take pictures.
Oh, yeah? If I can get away. Hey. Every movie I've ever saw where people were out looking for Bigfoot, and again, these are movies, man, it's not good for them. Them Bigfoots were not friendly. There's a couple of movies on Bigfoot where people have gone out looking for Bigfoot. Bigfoot not friendly. Oh, Bobcat did one. Bigfoot not friendly.
And that's funny because Bobcats, he investigates the paranormal now. For real.
Yeah. Bigfoot, in his movie, when they found Bigfoot, yeah, not good for the people who found Bigfoot. Not at all. No, I'm good.
Yeah, but so we could go camping.
No.
Just like camping by a lake. We wouldn't even have to go far into the woods.
Nope. Lake in a cabin? A cabin on the lake with like other people? Like gated community type thing?
I don't think Bigfoot is allowed in a gated community.
There you go. That's why I'm in the gated community. Because I'm not looking for Bigfoot. I'll be at the gated community waiting for you to come back.
How about a ghost investigation?
No.
How about a reptilian investigation to find out if the queen was one?
You can tell me. But I don't know. I might want to do that one though.
Yeah, so you want to do that one.
I do want to do that one. Would I be safe? Yeah, I would. But yeah, that one, if we could find, that one, maybe, possibly, the ghost and all that, you can keep all that.
What's going to happen is we're going to go on this investigation for the queen. And you're going to find out how much you like it, and then you're like, it's in my blood. I need to do it more.
I'm good.
Ghosts. I need to find out Bigfoot, Chupacabra, Kraken.
Nope.
All of it. All of it. I need it all now. And I'll have to say, Kelly, calm down. You were formerly the voice of reason.
Still am, because the answer is no. Not going. Don't, I'm one of those, I'll be rooting you from afar. Call me when you find Bigfoot type of person. I'm not gonna be.
Well, how about this? You sit in the cabin with all the infrared camera equipment and stuff, and then you could just vector me. Go 100 yards, James.
Is the cabin in the remote woods?
Well, it's close enough where you can be contacting me.
Am I in the remote woods, James?
Well, the cabin I seen them in on, and what is it? What's the big Expedition Bigfoot's a bad cabin.
I didn't ask you how bad it was. I said, is it in the remote woods, sir?
Well, I don't know if it's in the remote woods. I think it's kind of remote, but the cabin's so bad, it has everything. You would like it.
Okay, but is that going to stop Bigfoot from coming in?
Well, because, yeah, we'll see. Once again, you're thinking of movies. Bigfoot doesn't want to come to the cabin.
Okay.
You don't want to hang out at the cabin.
Am I strapped?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, as long as I'm strapped.
Never going to the woods.
Because if I'm going into the cabin in some woods and you're leaving me with all the equipment, none of that's going to help me unless I'm strapped. So,
yeah, you don't want Bigfoot stealing the equipment.
No. Oh, yeah, James, sure don't.
You know, that's a lot of money in equipment.
It is a lot of money. Speaking of equipment, when you are looking at your phone or your tablet, you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. That was such a good segue.
That was a good segue. I'm proud of you.
Yes, thank you. But you know what, James? I think we're done. I mean, yeah, not doing the ghost thing, as you know, not doing the Bigfoot thing. You know, I'm just not the investigative type of girl. That's all. I'm good.
No, you are. You're very investigative. It's just what things you like to investigate.
Yeah, things like I can do from my laptop. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're like Cloak. You know, we'll tell people. I call her the Cloak because she's finds out all the information on the internet.
Yep, I can find you with the laptop. So I'm back at headquarters, surrounded by lots of people in safety, letting you know what's going on while you're out in the remote part of whatever woods you're looking for Bigfoot. Yep, 100%. Speaking to you by satellite, James. Yep.
Satellite phone.
Got it.
That works.
Yeah, see, that works. No problem. All right, dude. Next week, we have yet another guest.
We're on a roll. We must be butter because we're on a roll.
Oh, shit. Look at him. Until next time.
Keep your minds open, people.